Donald Trump signed yet another executive order in the last day, and it's bad from start to finish, floor to ceiling. But it has one line in it that just might be the scariest thing that's come out of the Trump administration so far. And I'm gonna give you all the details, and you feel free to tell me at the end if you think I'm being clickbaity. I don't think that I am. It's the strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens executive order. So, little bit dystopic, maybe, little Orwellian there, but it's filled with all sorts of nonsense, and you can read it, by the way. It claims that cops are too focused on DEI. Oh, you know, cops constantly just praising gay people rather than fighting crime. Okay, whatever. There's sections that do stuff that you're used to, like they want to protect cops even more from, like, when they brutalize people or break the law. They want to protect them even more from criminal cases and things like that, as if, you know, so many cops are being locked up when they brutalize people. But you can see that section right there. They literally want to provide federal funding for them to fight charges that they're facing. Okay, that's awesome. That's what they're doing. But that's not the truly dark part. You're used to that. Here's where it is. It's section 4, using national security assets for law and order. So it says that Pete Hegseth, in consultation with other heads of agencies and Pam Bondi or whatever, are supposed to look into some stuff that it starts off just looking pretty bad, not apocalyptic. So it says, shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. That's part A. Let's pause there for a second. We're gonna get to part B. Part A is just like, you know how like for years we were like, hey, why do cops all over the country need Bearcats and tanks and grenade launchers and stuff? Maybe we could like dial that stuff back, because it turns out that when you give them that gear, they want to use that gear and they will find opportunities to, even if it's not warranted. And so under Obama, we had a little bit of dialing back of the militarization of the cops. That's what that is about. That's okay. So they're gonna start giving them grenade launchers. That's dark. That's not why it's in our A block though, it's this. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, again, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. So this is not just about them giving them gear or training them, it's military personnel to help with the cops. And if you are new to American politics, or maybe you come from another country or whatever, I don't know exactly what your system is like, but I cannot be clear enough when I say the military is supposed to protect us outside of our borders, okay? They are not supposed to be roaming the streets hunting down criminals, real or imagined, in the fever dreams of Pam Bondi and Carolyn Leavitt and whatever's left of Pete Hegseth's rum-soaked brain. They're talking about sending military personnel to help out cops. And this is, again, one of those red lines that one would think the right would be freaking out about, because they've been talking about little else up until a couple years ago when they replaced all that talk with trans people. But for decades it was, they're gonna send the military to Americans. So it's Jade Scorpion, it's an operation. They're gonna take us down as a prelude to one world government. And now it's there. It's in there. We have 90 days for Pete Hegseth to sober up a bit, put together a plan, and then maybe the Marines will be marching down your street. And so this is truly dark stuff, Viviana. What do you think?
It's a backlash from the defund the police movement. And there were a lot of people with the thin blue line flags on their cars and their flags that they're flying. And they're mad because their uncle is a cop and they like him. And he makes mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. So he can't be a bad guy. And I want to say that, a lot of cops are not bad guys. They're out there and they have an intention to serve and protect. That's the key. We're not serving and protecting this kind of ideology. And this ministry of we're gonna kick your ass and you're gonna like it. I mean, I like how his executive orders, you don't even have to read it. It's in the title. This is what we're gonna do. It's really simple. The tweet. It's scary, we had this giving them tanks and grenades and stuff. And it's like, if you give a mouse a cookie, they're gonna ask for a glass of milk and they can't wait to play with their toys. It's a scary time. We have to know that we kind of saw it coming and then the pendulum is really swinging. I am afraid that if the American people aren't uncomfortable enough, change is not going to happen. And
Yeah.
this might be the one once they start, throwing down the hammer.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, by the way, then chat. So that's it. If you think that I'm being hyperbolic, I'm crying wolf or whatever, feel free to post a comment. If you think that I'm on base, post a comment there. In fact, if you hate it, post like 3 or 4 comments. It'll help us with engagement. If you think that I'm being crazy lib, why aren't you okay with the fascists dispatching the Marines into American cities? Okay, that's fine. Maybe you could post a comment about how all that stuff you used to talk about fighting tyranny and all that was an absolute sham. You just didn't like that a black guy had been elected president. You didn't actually care about tyranny or whatever.
Tread on me. What happened to that? What happened?
Yeah, don't.
And right to bear arms, is that gone, guys? Or you think just because that you are a white supremacist that you'll be protected? Notice you don't have to be white supremacist. You just have to believe it.
100%. Yeah, don't tread on me unless I'm like, Guatemalan. Oh God, okay, don't tread on me. Trans people, okay, tread on me. Here's my back. I'm gonna make it nice and flat. You just walk wherever you want, big strong man. Protect me against drag queen story hour. That's not as good of a slogan, but I think that's what they meant the entire time. And as many of you are acknowledging, we do actually have laws that are supposed to stop this sort of thing. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, that's a law. Unfortunately, if the Constitution doesn't protect us from this, why would a law? He's grabbing us by the passe at this point. That's all it feels like. And so it's pretty clear. Hey, I'm gonna read it. You know how like we read the 4th Amendment yesterday on the show that don't count for anything anymore? I'm gonna read this too, which also don't count for anything anymore. And judges, don't get too excited about this and be like, I'm gonna enforce this in court because Pam Bodney might literally lock you up. But it said, whoever, except in cases and under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or act of Congress, willfully, which by the way, the Republicans in Congress would totally authorize it if you asked them to, but I bet he won't even try because he likes violating the law. Willfully uses, apologies for the TD, willfully uses any part of the Army or the Air Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. It was subsequently extended to apply the same restrictions to the US Navy and the Marine Corps. And so, I mean, if there was any justice, Trump would be locked up over this. Weirdly, only for 2 years. Seems strange that you'd get a significantly shorter sentence than George Santos got for deploying US troops against US citizens, but whatever, that's what the law says. And I want you to bear in mind, this is not the only possible violation of this. We talked earlier this year, Trump authorized the US military to effectively take control of kind of a strip of the entire US southern border between the US and Mexico that they're gonna try to turn into a military base that's like 50 feet wide and stretches for thousands of miles because the law is different on military bases. So they just pretend it's all a military base. Which if they do that, then theoretically they could just say every inch of American soil is a military base, so you lose all your rights. Again, very dark stuff, Viviana. Any other thoughts?
New wall, that's the new wall.
Kind of.
A wall of a military base, and you can be shot on sight.
Yeah, it's a wall of lawlessness. It's a wall of oops, no rights anymore.
The scary
and
thing
again,
about because this is happening so quickly, John, then you're gonna have no structure, no organization. There's really no way to implement this safely, right? But now you're gonna have these vigilante types, blowhards that wanna go out there and kill people, and they're gonna do it.